When you understand the true nature of imagination, you stop waiting for someone to love you, and you begin to assume that they already do. You stop looking to the outer world for confirmation, because you finally recognize that the outer world is only an echo, a mirror, a delayed reflection of the inner state you are carrying. The moment you choose to act as if the person you desire is already madly in love with you, something in the unseen begins to shift. A new pattern of reality is formed. You imprint a new state on your consciousness, and consciousness will always express whatever state you occupy. You cannot hold the feeling of being loved deeply and not eventually see it take shape in your life. That is the law. To act as if they're madly in love with you is not pretending. It is aligning yourself with the truth that your inner world is the cause of everything you experience. It is stepping into the end result emotionally and mentally, long before it becomes physical fact. People often believe that love must come from the outside, that they must persuade someone, impress someone, or chase someone to be chosen. But the truth is astonishingly simple. When you assume the state of being loved by them, they shift to match that assumption. Not because you are manipulating them, but because in the realm of consciousness, there is no separation. The version of them you commune with in imagination is the only version that has power to express in your physical world. Every person in your life is drawn into the role you assign to them in your inner conversations. If you repeatedly see them as distant, uncertain, confused, or uninterested, the outer world has no choice but to bring that version of them to life. But the moment you decide, with firmness and inner certainty, that they are madly in love with you, the seed is planted, and the seed must bloom. It does not matter how things look right now. The outer world is old news. It is delayed. It is simply the harvest of what you previously assumed to be true. But the moment you take on a new state, the moment you feel the reality of being loved by them, the future rearranges itself around that feeling. When you act as if they're madly in love with you, you are not acting for the world. You are acting for your inner self. You move differently. You think differently. Your inner conversations change. Instead of thinking of them with doubt or longing, you think of them with certainty, affection, and calm. You shift from hoping to knowing, and knowing is the most magnetic state in the universe. To know something is to claim it as yours. Imagine for a moment what it feels like to be adored by the one you desire. Not a weak, uncertain, half-hearted affection, but a deep, burning, undeniable love that fills their entire being. Imagine them waking up thinking of you, going through their day, unable to shake the constant feeling of wanting to hear your voice, needing to be near you, longing to express their love to you. Imagine them looking at you with tenderness, sending messages eagerly, canceling other plans just to spend time with you, choosing you effortlessly and wholeheartedly. Let that feeling rise in you until it becomes natural. When you assume that they are already madly in love with you, the energy within you changes. Your posture shifts. Your tone softens. The anxious thoughts fall away. You stop chasing because you have already been chosen. That inner shift is what influences them, not words, not strategy, not trying to impress them, but the deep, internal knowing that they are yours. What you accept as true within yourself is what they feel, even miles away. Every person is yourself pushed out, expressing the state you maintain about them. Therefore, to change their behavior, you must first change the assumption you hold. Do not ask when it will happen. Do not wonder how it will take place. The moment you concern yourself with how, you step out of the state of being loved and fall back into the state of longing. But longing cannot bring fulfillment. Only fulfillment can bring fulfillment. This is why acting as if is so powerful. Acting as if means embodying the feeling now, without waiting for evidence. It means answering your messages in your mind as if they sent them with affection. It means imagining them calling you with excitement in their voice. It means hearing them say, "I can't stop thinking about you," and accepting those words as natural, normal, and inevitable. You are not fantasizing. You are choosing the reality you desire, and reality will eventually conform. Some people hesitate because they worry it might be delusional to assume such a thing. But imagination is not delusion. Imagination is creation. Every invention, every masterpiece, every love story began in someone's imagination before it became visible. The world laughs at imagination only because it does not understand its power. You do not need the world's permission to be loved. You do not need to worry about logic or circumstances. The only thing you need is the willingness to believe in your inner experience more than you believe in appearances. When you do that, the outer world must obey. Imagine now the version of you who is cherished. That version of you does not fear losing them. That version of you does not worry about what they're thinking. That version of you does not check your phone with anxiety. That version of you walks with confidence, speaks with ease, and moves with quiet assurance. That version of you knows that their love is not fragile or uncertain. It is stable, strong, and constant. When you embody this version of yourself, the outer world rearranges effortlessly. You become the magnet. You become the center. You become the one they cannot resist. Everything begins and ends in consciousness. If you want them to be madly in love with you, then you must first be the person who is already loved. Not in the future, not in some distant possibility, but right now, in the present moment. If you cannot feel it now, you will not see it later. The inner feeling is the cause. The outer event is the effect. Too many people try to change the effect without changing the cause. They attempt to fix the outer world while ignoring the inner world. They try to correct behaviors, send messages, make gestures, or use tactics to get someone's attention. But all of that is wasted energy if the inner assumption remains rooted in fear or lack. The only real work is internal. Once the inner state is secured, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. When you act as if they're madly in love with you, you assume a new identity. You stop being the seeker and become the one who is sought. You stop being the one who waits and become the one who is pursued. You stop being the one who wonders and become the one who knows. This shift is subtle but transformative. Others begin to feel it. They respond differently. They speak differently. They treat you differently. Why? Because you change the version of them you hold in your mind. You cannot see someone the same way internally and expect them to act differently externally. The moment you see them as someone who loves you intensely, you free them from any previous role you assigned them. You give them permission, through your consciousness, to step into the new role of the one who adores you. Every inner act is a cause set in motion. When you imagine them loving you, when you feel the warmth of their affection in your heart, when you hear their voice in your inner ear telling you how much you mean to them, you are doing the only real work that matters. You are rewriting the script of your reality, and reality will obediently follow. Do not confuse acting as if with faking. Faking is pretending something you do not believe. Acting as if is embodying a truth you have claimed as yours. It is not external behavior, it is internal certainty. You do not need to show anything to anyone. All that matters is what you accept in your silent moments, in your inner conversations, in the privacy of your mind. If you can hold the feeling long enough, even for a few moments a day, the state becomes natural, and whatever becomes natural must express itself in your life. Right now, imagine the moment when they finally confess their feelings. Imagine the look in their eyes, the tone of their voice, the softness in their expression. Feel the warmth swell in your chest as they speak to you with honesty and passion. Accept that moment as inevitable. Let it sink in deeply. Let it feel real. Let it feel like something that has already happened and is simply unfolding visibly. Your imagination is not separate from reality, it is the blueprint of reality. There is no power outside of you that decides your fate. You are the one who chooses what to assume, and whatever you assume must manifest. If you assume they love you, they must show love. If you assume they adore you, they must express adoration. If you assume they cannot stay away from you, they must gravitate toward you. This is not manipulation. This is the law of consciousness. You are not forcing them, you are selecting the version of them that already exists in infinite possibility. You are choosing the timeline where they are madly in love with you, And by choosing it, you merge with it. Live in that assumption. Dwell in it as if it were already the story of your life. Celebrate it inwardly. Smile at the thought of it. Let your heart soften and open as if their love is wrapping around you in every moment. When doubts come, and they will ignore them. Doubt is simply the old state trying to stay alive. Do not fight it. Simply return to the feeling of being loved. Return to the warmth. Return to the certainty. Return to the truth that what you assume is what becomes. You are the operant power. Nothing can stop you from being loved except your own disbelief. And disbelief is weak. It fades the moment you decide to occupy a new reality. Step boldly into the version of yourself who is cherished, valued, wanted, and deeply adored by the one you desire. Act as if their love is already yours. Speak to them in your mind with affection. Receive their love in your imagination with gratitude. Walk through the world with the quiet confidence of someone who is profoundly loved. When you do this consistently, something miraculous begins to unfold. They start showing up differently. They become softer, warmer, more attentive. They reach out more. They express their feelings more openly. They feel a pull they cannot explain, a pull that leads them directly to you. You have shifted the inner pattern, and the outer world must follow. This is the power of assumption. This is the power of acting as if. This is the power of knowing that love is not something you chase, it is something you allow. And when the moment finally arrives, when they look at you with sincerity and tell you how deeply they feel for you, you will not be surprised. You will smile gently, knowing that this moment was created long before it appeared. You will understand that the outer expression was only the final step in a process that began within you. You will realize that love is not given to you, it is chosen and assumed by you. And once you assume it, the world cannot deny it. So act as if they're madly in love with you, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Feel it, claim it, live it, and watch as life aligns itself with the truth you dared to believe. When you begin to live from the place where their love is already yours, something extraordinary unfolds in your daily experience. You no longer walk around searching for signs, trying to decode their actions, or fearing that something might go wrong. Instead, you carry a stillness within you, a quiet certainty that radiates outward. People around you can sense the shift even if they don't understand it. You become calm where you once felt anxious, peaceful where you once felt uncertain, grounded where you once felt fragile. The energy of being loved rewrites the energy of your entire presence. You begin to glow with the confidence of someone who is already chosen. You stop checking your phone every few minutes because in your inner world, they're already communicating with you. You stop replaying old conversations in your mind because you've replaced them with new, loving inner conversations. You stop dwelling on what went wrong in the past because the version of them you hold now is different, transformed, loving, attentive, overflowing with affection. And as you maintain this new assumption, the old version of them dissolves naturally, like a shadow disappearing when light enters the room. This is why inner work is so powerful. When you assume the state of being loved, you eliminate the need for external validation. You stop being tossed around emotionally by what they do or don't say. Instead, their outer actions become just that, actions, while your inner knowing becomes your truth. You become the one with the power, not because you control them, but because you control your inner world, and your inner world governs everything. You might notice subtle changes at first. They may appear more interested, more open, more connected. They may start initiating conversations or showing up in unexpected ways. These initial shifts are not random, they are the early signs of the new reality forming. And yet, you do not cling to these signs or seek more of them. You appreciate them without depending on them, because the real evidence is already alive within you. You do not need proof when you already possess the feeling. The more you embody the state of being loved by them, the more natural it becomes. You start to catch yourself smiling at random moments, imagining their affection as if it were already happening. You begin to speak differently about love, relationships, and even about yourself. You become kinder to your own heart because you're no longer fighting for love, you're resting in it. And this restfulness is what transforms everything. Your imagination becomes your sanctuary, the place where their love is vivid, real, and alive. When you close your eyes, you feel their presence beside you, hear their voice calling your name with affection, picture their hands reaching for yours with warmth and certainty. You don't imagine these moments with longing, you imagine them with ownership, with the quiet assurance of someone experiencing what already belongs to them. And as you persist in this state, gently, consistently, faithfully, it becomes your dominant inner reality. People often underestimate the power of gentle persistence. They want instant results, quick changes, dramatic gestures. But the true transformation happens in the soft, consistent rehearsal of the desired state. A single day of feeling loved cannot override years of feeling unwanted. But day after day, moment after moment, when you choose the inner experience of being adored, you build a new identity from the inside out. And as this identity becomes stable, life begins to reflect it with remarkable accuracy. You are not just imagining their love, you are becoming the version of yourself who is naturally, effortlessly, unquestionably loved. And when you become that version of yourself internally, the outer world mirrors it automatically. They begin to feel something shifting within themselves without understanding why. They start missing you more, thinking of you more, wanting you more. They feel drawn to you, magnetized by something they can't explain, because consciousness communicates beyond words. The version of them you assume becomes the version they express. You no longer worry about competition, timing, distance, or conditions. Those things belong to the old reality, the one you left behind the moment you claimed your new state. In your new state, there is no competition because you are already chosen. There is no distance because in imagination you're already connected. There is no lack of communication because in your inner world they are already reaching for you with love. The outer world cannot help but conform to this inner truth. As you persist in the assumption that they are madly in love with you, your energy becomes unmistakably attractive, not needy, not desperate, not chasing, but deeply magnetic. You are no longer seeking their attention, you are enjoying their love in imagination, and that alone draws their physical affection to you. You become someone who expects love, not someone who begs for it. Someone who receives love, not someone who doubts it. Someone who is certain, not someone who is fearful. Your inner conversations become sweeter and more aligned. Instead of replaying old hurts, you create new dialogues where they speak to you with respect and tenderness. Instead of imagining them pulling away, you picture them moving closer. Instead of remembering past disappointments, you create new emotional memories that feel real, comforting, and intimate. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between real and imagined experiences. It simply accepts what you consistently feed it. And once accepted, it expresses that assumption with absolute loyalty. As your inner world becomes filled with love, your self-concept transforms as well. You start to believe that you are worthy of affection, that you deserve devotion, that you are deserving of the passion and attention you've imagined. You begin to treat yourself as someone who is valued. You speak to yourself more gently. You carry yourself more confidently. You make decisions from a place of security rather than fear. This shift in self-perception is what truly seals the new reality in place. You begin to notice that love stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a natural part of your life. You no longer question whether they care, you feel their love internally, and that feeling becomes a magnet that pulls the physical expression into your experience. This is the quiet power of acting as if. It softens the heart and strengthens the spirit. It replaces anxiety with expectation. It replaces doubt with conviction. It replaces longing with fulfillment. And while the outer changes may unfold gradually or suddenly, the real transformation is always internal first. You are not waiting for them to change. You are becoming the version of yourself who naturally attracts the kind of love you desire. And once that version is fully embodied, the outer world must follow. As you persist in the inner state of already being loved, you notice that the world around you becomes softer. Situations that once triggered insecurity or doubt no longer hold the same power. You respond differently because you feel differently. And because you feel differently, life mirrors that feeling back to you with precision. The moment you shift within, everything outside begins shifting to match the new pattern you hold. You stop reacting from fear and begin responding from certainty. You stop questioning their feelings and begin assuming their devotion. You stop leaning into the old stories and begin writing new ones from the end you've already accepted as real. The beautiful part is that this shift doesn't require force. It doesn't require pushing, convincing, or struggling. The more you relax into the feeling of already being loved, the more naturally everything aligns. The old you, the version filled with worry, doubt, and fear, starts to dissolve like mist in sunlight. You grow into the version of yourself who expects love, who breathes love, who embodies love in every thought. The outer world cannot resist this version of you, because it is the truest expression of your inner power. You start to see every moment as an opportunity to remain in the state of being loved. Whether you're walking alone, sitting in silence, or going about your day, the feeling accompanies you, warming you from within. You become someone who radiates emotional abundance, and people naturally respond with openness and affection. Even strangers may treat you more kindly, sensing the shift in your energy. This is what happens when you dwell in a state long enough. It becomes your identity, and your identity determines what you attract. The person you desire, the one who once felt distant or unpredictable, begins to feel a subtle pull toward you. They may not understand why. They may not be able to explain the sudden urge to reconnect, to reach out, to think of you more deeply. But the pull is undeniable. It grows stronger each day because consciousness precedes physical action. What you assume about them becomes the thought they begin to entertain. The more consistently you hold the inner belief that they are madly in love with you, the more naturally their behavior aligns with that belief. Their love begins to show up in small ways at first: unexpected messages, deeper eye contact, a sudden softness in their tone. You notice their presence more vividly, as if the universe is gently stitching your realities closer together. And instead of reacting with excitement or fear, you receive these moments with grace because you already expected them. You prepared for them inwardly long before they appeared outwardly. You live from the end, and the end must become the beginning of every interaction between you. The more you dwell in the inner state, the more you realize that love is not something you earn, it is something you align with. You no longer chase, because you no longer feel the need to chase. You carry the awareness of being desired so deeply that the idea of being unwanted becomes foreign to you. The state of being loved becomes so natural, so familiar, so effortless, that the opposite no longer resonates with who you are. Your imagination becomes your most loyal companion. It shows you scenes of tenderness, closeness, passion, and devotion. Not fantasies, but previews of what is already unfolding. Every scene you accept emotionally becomes a command to reality. Every inner conversation filled with love becomes a rewritten script that your outer world must perform. You become the director, not the observer. You become the storyteller, not the character waiting to see what happens next. And with each passing day, you grow more skillful at holding the feeling. You begin to trust it. You begin to nurture it. You begin to enjoy it so deeply that the need for physical validation fades away entirely. You know the physical expression will come because it must come, and knowing this frees you from impatience. You no longer ask when because you already have it. You no longer ask how because you no longer care about the mechanics. You no longer ask what if because the outcome is secure. The only thing you care about is maintaining the inner state, the truth you have chosen, the reality you have crafted within. As this inner state deepens, something profound and quiet awakens inside you, the understanding that love does not come from another person. Love flows through them from your own consciousness. You are the source. They are the channel. And when you choose to experience love, the universe chooses the perfect people, situations, and moments to express that love back to you. You realize that the person you desire is not separate from you. They are connected to your assumptions, your beliefs, your inner conversations. When you shift the way you see them inwardly, you shift the way they treat you outwardly. And this shift happens not through force, but through gentle acceptance of a new truth. Your confidence grows silently. You move differently in the world. You carry a softness in your heart and a certainty in your spirit. You treat yourself with more kindness. You allow good things to come to you without questioning whether you deserve them. This is the power of assuming you are loved. You stop rejecting what is meant for you. As your inner world becomes a place of unwavering love, the outer world becomes a place where love is the natural response. Others feel drawn to you because you have become aligned with your true nature, a creator, a chooser, a being whose assumptions shape reality. And the one you desire feels the pull most intensely. They feel your energy shift. They feel the invisible connection growing. They feel the desire to come closer, to reveal more, to open their heart in ways they never considered before. Your new state pulls them into a version of themselves that matches your assumption. They step into the role of the one who loves you deeply, passionately, unmistakably. They speak differently. They think differently. They feel differently, all because the inner image you hold has changed, and consciousness, being one, moves through them effortlessly. As days pass, the bond strengthens. The invisible thread between you becomes stronger, warmer, more alive. You feel them thinking of you. You feel their affection even before they express it. You sense the unfolding of a new reality, not because you are hoping for it, but because you are living in it internally. And as you continue to hold this state, the outer expression becomes inevitable. You begin to move through your days with a sense of inner companionship, as though their presence walks beside you even in moments of silence. This is not imagination in the childish sense, it is imagination in the creative sense. It is the awareness that your inner world is shaping the outer world with every feeling you entertain, and because you carry the feeling of their love, you never feel alone. You never feel forgotten. You never feel like you are waiting for something to happen. Instead, you feel as if everything you desire is unfolding in perfect order, with perfect timing, leading you closer to the physical expression of what you already possess inwardly. Every time you choose the feeling of being loved, you strengthen the bond between you. Every moment you return to the inner experience of their affection, you reinforce the state you wish to experience. This repetition is not a chore, it is a pleasure. It feels beautiful to rest in the sensation of being cherished. It feels peaceful to close your eyes and hear their voice in your inner ear, saying the words you long to hear. It feels empowering to know that each inner scene is a seed planted in the subconscious, destined to bloom in the physical world. And as this feeling grows, the old version of you begins to fade, the version who questioned their worth, who wondered if they were enough, who doubted whether love could come easily. That version had been created by old assumptions, old fears, and old stories. But now you are rewriting your story from the inside. You are becoming the version of yourself who is worthy of the deepest love, not because you changed anything externally, but because you changed the assumptions at the core of your being. You notice that your reactions to things shift in subtle but powerful ways. If a thought of doubt arises, you no longer spiral into worry. Instead, you gently return to your inner truth. They are madly in love with you. If you see something on social media or hear something in conversation that once would have triggered insecurity, you remain calm because you know the outer world is temporary and the inner world is eternal. You trust the unseen more than the seen, the inner more than the outer, and this trust becomes your anchor. As you continue to dwell in this state, you begin to observe synchronicities, small signs that confirm the alignment you've created. You overhear people talking about love. You come across songs or phrases that echo your inner conversations. You experience moments that feel orchestrated just to reassure you that your assumption is taking form. But even then, you don't cling to these signs. You appreciate them for what they are: indicators, not requirements. They are reflections, not sources. The true source remains within you. The person you desire may start appearing in your thoughts more frequently, not the anxious thoughts you once carried, but warm, peaceful, affectionate thoughts. You feel them thinking of you simultaneously, as if your conscious minds are blending into one stream of connection. You sense that something is shifting in their heart, something softening, something awakening. and you know that this shift is the natural effect of the love you have assumed within. Your intuition sharpens during this process. You begin to sense their energy, their emotions, their unspoken longing. You feel their attachment growing, even before it becomes visible. You feel their heart recognizing yours in a deeper way. This intuitive knowing becomes the foundation on which your state rests. You no longer wonder if they feel it, you feel their feelings within you. You no longer hope for a change, you sense the change already happening. Your nights become filled with comforting inner conversations that soothe you. In the quiet moments before sleep, you imagine them holding you, speaking softly to you, expressing their affection without hesitation. And because these imaginal acts occur in the most receptive state of consciousness, they imprint deeply. Night after night, these scenes become embedded in your subconscious, forming a new emotional blueprint for your relationship. You start to walk through the world with a softness in your chest and a warmth in your stomach, signs that your nervous system has relaxed into the state of fulfillment. Your body responds to the inner certainty of love. It no longer vibrates with anxiety or longing. It vibrates with peace, security, and connection. This shift in your physical state is evidence that the inner assumption has taken hold. The mind and body work in harmony when the inner truth becomes settled. In conversations with others, you speak with quiet confidence. You don't seek reassurance from anyone because you no longer need it. You don't discuss the situation from a place of uncertainty because uncertainty no longer lives within you. You carry yourself as someone who is already desired, already valued, already loved, and this energy influences how people treat you. They pick up on it subconsciously, responding with respect, interest, and affection. You become magnetic not only to one person, but to life itself. And through this process, you begin to understand the real nature of love, not the desperate, seeking love the world teaches, but the stable, overflowing love that comes from knowing your power as a creator. You realize that love is not something you chase. Love is something you choose. You choose the state. You choose the assumption. You choose the experience internally. And the outer world must bow to that choice. Even if the person you desire seems unchanged on the surface, you no longer feel affected. You know that every visible moment is simply the after effect of past assumptions. You know that the present moment, the inner state you hold now, is what determines what is coming. You know that what you assume today will bloom tomorrow. You stay faithful to the inner world because you know it is the only world that matters. And as you continue living in the state of being deeply loved by them, you feel something powerful happening. You begin to genuinely enjoy the process. You enjoy the inner scenes, the imaginal touches, the silent conversations. You enjoy the feeling of love that flows through your spirit. You enjoy the certainty that everything is unfolding perfectly. You enjoy the version of yourself you are becoming, someone strong, radiant, and secure in the truth of their own worth. As this inner enjoyment deepens, you begin to notice that your life feels lighter. Even the smallest things begin to take on a new color, a new warmth. You walk into rooms with an energy that feels magnetic and gentle all at once. People smile more when they see you. Conversations flow more easily. Opportunities seem to find you without effort. This is the natural byproduct of dwelling in a state of love. Your entire vibration shifts, and the world responds accordingly. You are no longer reaching for something outside yourself. You are radiating something from within. You begin to recognize that acting as if they're madly in love with you is not about exaggeration or fantasy. It's about stepping into a truth that exists beyond the physical senses. It is about accepting that the unseen is more real than the seen, because it is from the unseen that the seen is born. The feeling of being loved becomes your quiet companion, guiding your steps and shaping your world. This feeling becomes the lens through which you interpret everything. Even challenges feel softer because you are anchored in a deeper truth. You start responding to the world with a calm, rooted in love rather than fear. If they take time to reply, you don't panic. You don't wonder if something is wrong. Instead, you simply assume that everything is unfolding perfectly. You assume they're thinking of you, feeling for you, loving you more with each passing moment. And this assumption held firmly, becomes the cause of the very reality you desire. There is a serenity in this way of living, an ease that replaces the old anxiety. You stop analyzing their actions because you no longer need to decode their behavior. You know the truth. You know the end. You know the state you hold within. And when the inner state is secured, the outer world loses its power to disturb you. You no longer chase meaning, you create meaning. You no longer ask for certainty, you live from certainty. You no longer wait for love. You experience love inwardly and allow the physical world to reveal it in its own time. With each passing day, the inner connection grows stronger. You feel closer to them in your imagination than you ever did when you were consumed by doubt. This closeness is real because consciousness is the true bond between people. You feel their affection as if it flows through you. You feel their thoughts as if they whisper them into your soul. You sense their emotions merging with yours, creating a harmony that feels both powerful and gentle. And the more you feel this bond inwardly, the more effortlessly it manifests outwardly. You begin to notice that your energy speaks before you do. When you think of them lovingly, you feel warmth spread through your chest and your mind grows quiet. When you picture their face, your heart beats with a steady peace rather than a frantic longing. This is the sign that your assumption has settled into your subconscious, that it has become natural. What once felt like an effort now feels like the most natural thing in the world, to know that you are loved and chosen. And when something becomes natural within, it must become natural without. You may start seeing their name more often, hearing songs that remind you of them, receiving unexpected messages from them. These are not coincidences, they are reflections of your inner world. They are the echoes of the state you have chosen. Each small sign is like a ripple extending outward from the stone you dropped into the pool of consciousness. The ripples become waves, and the waves become events, and the events become the reality you walk into. You begin to realize that you are not simply imagining their love, you are tuning yourself into the version of them who already loves you. Infinite versions of every person exist in consciousness, and you have chosen the one who is madly in love with you. That version responds. That version moves. That version communicates. That version is drawn to you because you have selected it. And because your assumption is consistent, they cannot help but conform to the image you hold. Life becomes a gentle dance between your inner and outer worlds. Your imagination leads, and the physical world follows. Your feelings create, and the physical world expresses. You no longer feel the need to rush or push. You trust the process because you trust yourself. You have tasted the truth of your creative power, and now you stand firmly in it, unshaken by appearances. There is a sweetness that comes with this level of awareness. A sweetness in knowing that love is not a rare blessing reserved for the fortunate. Love is the natural expression of consciousness, and consciousness is your true identity. When you realize this, you stop begging for love and begin living from love. The difference is immense. Begging pushes love away. Living from love draws it in effortlessly. As you embody this truth more fully, you become a safe space for love. You become the calm in the storm, the steady presence that others gravitate toward. You become someone who no longer doubts their worthiness because you've come to understand that worthiness is not earned, it is inherent. And when you see yourself as worthy of deep affection, the world mirrors that belief with stunning accuracy. You notice that you are no longer triggered by old patterns, old memories, or old versions of yourself. You have stepped into a new self-concept, one aligned with being adored, valued, and chosen. This self-concept becomes the foundation of every interaction you have. You speak with more softness, move with more confidence, and think with more clarity. You no longer feel compelled to prove yourself, because the version of you who is already loved does not need proof. And in this new identity, the idea of them loving you feels natural, not surprising, not overwhelming, not unbelievable, just natural. You see them loving you as something that makes sense, something that aligns with the person you have become. You expect it gently, without force. You allow it effortlessly, without resistance. And this quiet expectation is what shapes your world. The more you settle into this new identity, the more the outer world adjusts. People begin to treat you differently because they feel the difference within you. Situations unfold more gracefully because your inner state is harmonious, and the one you desire responds to this harmony, drawn in by the stability, warmth, and love you radiate. As this harmony continues to build within you, you begin to realize that everything in your life is rearranging itself to match the state you now occupy. You are no longer the version of yourself who questions whether love is possible or whether you are chosen. You are now the version of yourself who assumes that love is inevitable, that affection is natural, that devotion flows toward you as effortlessly as breath. This assumption is not loud or dramatic, it is quiet and powerful, like a pulse beneath the surface of your thoughts. Your imagination becomes the source of your calm. Whenever the mind tries to wander back to old fears, you gently guide it to the feeling of being deeply loved. You don't force yourself to believe it. You simply lean into the feeling the way you lean into a soft pillow. You rest in it. You sink into it. You let it hold you. And the more you do this, the more the feeling becomes your baseline, your emotional home. You notice that your reactions to life grow softer, more deliberate. If something unexpected happens, you don't spiral into insecurity because you know the truth of your inner state. You know that nothing can disturb the love you have already claimed in consciousness. This inner certainty becomes your protection, your stability, your quiet strength. It is not the kind of strength that tries to control outcomes. It is the strength that comes from knowing the outcome is already yours. You begin to move with a sense of certainty that can't be explained logically. It is felt, not reasoned. It is lived, not questioned. When you think of them, you don't wonder if they care, you feel their care. When you imagine them, you don't wonder if they think of you, you feel the warmth of their attention. When you picture them reaching for you, you don't wonder if it will happen. You experience the scene as something unfolding now, not later. And because you experience it now, the subconscious accepts it as true now. This acceptance is what changes everything. The subconscious does not resist consistency. It absorbs it. It embraces it. It recreates it. When you consistently return to the feeling of being cherished, the subconscious begins to treat it as your natural state. Once it becomes natural inwardly, it must become natural outwardly. You begin to notice that even your daydreams change. They are no longer filled with longing, but with fulfillment. They are no longer filled with uncertainty, but with clarity. They are no longer about hoping love will come, but about experiencing the love that is already here. This shift in the quality of your inner world transforms you. You begin to feel emotionally fed, emotionally supported, emotionally full, and when the inner world is full, the outer world must reflect that fullness. You stop thinking of them as someone distant, unpredictable, or out of reach. Instead, you think of them as someone deeply connected to you, emotionally intertwined with you, spiritually aligned with you. You imagine them as someone whose love flows naturally toward you, whose heart recognizes yours, whose affection feels inevitable. These assumptions bring peace because they resonate with the state you are choosing. The more you dwell in this truth, the more you feel guided in your actions. You start speaking in ways that align with love. You start showing up in life as someone who expects affection. You start making choices that reflect your worthiness, not because you are trying to impress anyone, but because your identity has already shifted. You are no longer acting from fear, you are acting from fulfillment. You notice that you no longer get pulled into negative thinking about the relationship. Even if the mind tries to revisit old stories, the feeling of being loved internally is so strong that the old stories feel foreign. They don't belong to you anymore. They don't resonate. They don't feel true. They drift away like echoes from a past you no longer inhabit. Your inner world becomes the place where you retreat to feel nourished. It becomes your sanctuary. In moments of silence, you feel your connection to them so vividly that it's almost physical. You feel their presence through the warmth in your chest, the softness in your thoughts, the certainty that grows each time you assume their love. And because this connection feels real internally, the universe responds by bringing it into physical expression. You begin to understand that the version of them you assume within becomes the version they express without. If you assume they are cold, distant, unsure, that is who they show up as. But when you assume they are deeply in love with you, eager to connect, drawn to your energy, that is who they become. Not because you manipulate them, but because consciousness is one, and your assumption is the energy they cannot help but respond to. You move through the world with a quiet glow, an invisible aura that people feel even if they cannot name it. You carry yourself as someone who is loved deeply and consistently. This energy affects everything: your conversations, your posture, your decisions, your presence. You no longer feel the need to hide your heart because you know your heart is safe. You no longer feel the need to protect yourself from disappointment because the state you live in does not produce disappointment. This new version of you becomes unstoppable in the most gentle way, not forceful, not dominant, but secure, stable, radiant, confident in a way that comes from the soul rather than the ego. And this confidence is what draws the person you desire closer, because people are magnetized to certainty. They are magnetized to peace. They are magnetized to the energy of someone who already possesses what they desire. Each day, the bond strengthens. Not because you chase it, but because you assume it. Not because you worry about it, but because you feel it. Not because you demand it, but because you live it. And so, as you breathe in this truth and let it settle into the deepest part of your being, understand that nothing in this world is stronger than the image you hold within yourself. You are not waiting for someone to decide your worth. You are not hoping for someone to choose you. You are declaring the ending and allowing reality to rise to meet it. When you act as if they are madly in love with you, you are not pretending. You are aligning with a truth that already exists in a higher realm. You are stepping into the version of yourself who is adored, valued, sought after, cherished, and chosen effortlessly. And reality must obey that inner conviction. It has no choice but to reflect the certainty you carry. Let this be the moment you stop looking outside for confirmation and start giving yourself the feeling that moves worlds. Let this be the moment you stop doubting, stop chasing, stop shrinking. You are powerful enough to create the version of your relationship that fulfills you completely. You are powerful enough to rewrite the ending right now. So breathe it in, claim it, own it, live in it until it feels as natural as your own heartbeat. Because the moment you make that inner shift, the outer world begins to rearrange itself in your favor. That's when the messages come faster, the attention grows stronger, the connection deepens without effort. That's when they show up exactly as you decided they would, loving you, choosing you, longing for you, and moving toward you with a devotion that feels inevitable. This is your moment to step into the love story you desire, not by force, not by fear, but by the quiet certainty of someone who already knows how this ends. You are the one with the power. You are the one writing the script. And when you act from the end becomes your reality. So walk forward now with confidence, with assurance, with the unshakable knowing that the love you want is already yours. Because once you claim it within, the world cannot help but deliver it without.